welcome to another video. It is that time of the week again. It's another Premier League prediction show. Another game week is upon us, and this weekend there are some massive games going off in the Premier League. There's absolutely huge games that are going to affect the entirety of the Premier League table from top to bottom, and of course this is where I analyse all the games and give my predictions on the outcomes of them as well. Before we go any further though, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things always and forever be greatly appreciated. And for right now, let's get into the predictions. We're going to begin with Friday night's game that will take place between Brighton and Crystal Palace at the Amex Stadium. So fantasy football managers, get your teams ready for Friday night's encounter between these two. Of course, last time out there was FA Cup games, so it's been a while since these teams were in Premier League action, but last time they were, Brighton won 3-2 against Everton, whilst Palace lost 3-2 to West Ham. It's an intriguing game, this one. Both sides have been tricky sides to come up against this season and have gone about their campaigns in a solid fashion. It could be a very intriguing game on Friday night, a very intriguing tactical clash between both managers and an interesting battle out on the pitch as well. And that's why it's a difficult game to call. However, my prediction for this game is that it might not be a confident one, but I see that both sides have the potential to win. But I am going to go with a draw instead. I'm going to say that both sides are going to come out as 1-1 draw in this game. Next up, we're at Turf Moor for Burnley hosting Leicester. Last time in the Premier League, Burnley lost 3-1 to Leeds United, whilst Leicester pulled off that incredible victory against Liverpool before the end of last year. It's been a while since Leicester were last in Premier League action. On paper, this should be one of the more favourable ties, you'd imagine, and more predictable games to call with all due respect. But as we know, games aren't won on paper. Burnley will be tough opposition for Leicester, of course. You'd expect that. They're unlikely to throw a surprise out there in terms of their approach to this game or in terms of their game plan overall. Whilst for the Foxes, they have been inconsistent this season. We know that. It's another potential banana skin of a fixture for them. But I think that they should be winning this game, and that is why I'm predicting that Brendan Rodgers' side will come out as 2-1 winners. Next, we turn our attention to a relegation battle at the bottom of the table as Newcastle take on Watford. Newcastle drew 1-1 with Manchester United last time out. It's been a while since we last saw them in Premier League action for the Magpies. Whilst Watford were last in Premier League action, they lost 1-0 to Spurs. As I say, it's a big relegation battle, this one. Newcastle have dived into the transfer market, to be fair to them, in the past couple of weeks. And it will be interesting to see if those new additions in the forms of Kieran Trippier and Chris Wood will make an instant impact in their league campaign going forward. Whilst Watford have managed to retain the services of informed striker Emmanuel Dennis from going to the African Cup of Nations, which boosts their chances in this game, of course. But, of course, he can't do it on his own. He's going to need his other teammates to sort of dig in and help him out as well. I actually see Newcastle picking up their second win of the season in this game, and that's why I'm going for a 2-1 Newcastle win. Next, the Canaries take on the Toffees at Carrow Road as Norwich host Everton. Last time out, Norwich lost 2-0 to West Ham. That was in a midweek game, actually, in one of the rearranged, postponed games for these two sides. Whilst Everton lost 3-2 to Brighton in their last Premier League game. Simply put, both sides are in need of a win here. You don't need me to tell you that. They are desperate for a win in this game. Norwich could lift themselves out of the the bottom of the table, with a victory here, whilst Everton could relieve a little bit of the pressure that's growing on Rafa Benitez with each passing week, at least for another week until their next game possibly. It's a must-win game for both sides, so with that being said, don't be surprised if a draw plays out in this one. And again, because there's so much riding on it, it is difficult to call. Either side could go on to win the game. They have the ability to do so and hurt the other. But I'm actually going to go for a draw in this one. I'm going to say that this game will end 1-1 come the final whistle. Next up, we're at Molineux for Wolves hosting Southampton. Wolves beat Manchester United last time out in that 1-0 victory against the Red Devils, whilst the Saints played midweek in a rearranged game against Brentford, in which the Saints come out as 4-1 winners. It's an interesting game, this one. The rock-solid Premier League outfit of Wolves face a bit of a surprise in the form of Southampton, who are in 11th. I don't mean any disrespect by this, but I don't think many people were expecting them to be this high up in the table at this stage of the season. I think many people expected them to be dragged into some sort of relegation battle so far, but that hasn't happened. And a lot of credit needs to go to Ralph Hasenhüttl and his players for doing exactly that. Big game here, tricky game in general to call, but my prediction is that Wolves may just snatch this game and I'll give them the edge, but only just. I'm going for a 1-0 home win. Our next game focuses on the Saturday's evening fixture, and that will see Manchester United travel away to face Aston Villa. Villa lost 2-1 to Brentford in their last Premier League game, whilst Manchester United lost 1-0 to Wolves in their last Premier League game, so both sides are really looking to get back to winning ways in the Premier League in this one. These two teams, of course, faced off against each other in Monday night's encounter in the FA Cup, but since then, Aston Villa have been busy in the transfer window and have, of course, added 2 fresh faces to their squad, and they are ready to go in this game. United came out on top on Monday night's game, but were rather fortunate to do so, with Villa missing their scoring boots, and when they did manage to score, VAR was there to aid Manchester United in carrying them over the finish line. Both teams will have a better understanding of how the other one plays, and you could argue that for United this is a bigger game for them in the Premier League, but you'll have to question whether or not the same outcome will occur here. My prediction actually is for Villa to go on and win this game. A draw wouldn't surprise me and may actually be the more likely result, but I can just about see Villa just about edging this one. And I think when you also add the extra spice and flair of a return to the Premier League for one Philippe Coutinho, it makes this game all the more interesting. I'm saying 2-1 to Steven Gerrard's side. Next, we move on to Sunday's games, and first up, we see Liverpool face Brentford at Anfield. Liverpool drew 2-2 with Chelsea in their last Premier League game, whilst Brentford lost 4-1 to Southampton midweek. When these two teams met earlier in the season, they arguably had one of the best games of the campaign to watch, for particularly a neutral, as they came out in that epic 3-3 draw, where Brentford fought back from 3-1 down, of course. Fast forward to today, and maybe something special will happen again this weekend. Who knows? It's a different Liverpool side, obviously, for big and obvious reasons, with big absences in the forms of Mohamed Salah and Sadio Mane, of course, away at the African Cup of Nations. And with losing their biggest goal-scoring threats, you feel it may help Brentford's chances of winning this game, or at least getting something out of it. But as always, I always back my team to win, and although I am wary of the threat that Brentford pose, and I have to admire their work rate and their mentality, I still would expect the Reds to be winning this game, and that's why I'm going for a 2-1 Liverpool win. 2-1. Next up, we're at the London Stadium for West Ham's clash with Leeds United. West Ham beat Norwich in their last game 2-0 midweek, whilst Leeds were also victorious in their last Premier League outing as they beat Burnley by 3-1. This promises to be a feisty and fiery encounter. I imagine the fans are going to be up for this one. I imagine the players, or I hope the players, will be up for this one as well. And all in all, it should make for a great game to watch, particularly from a neutral's point of view. A win here can see West Ham continue their solid season and continue to strengthen their chances at obtaining a top 4 spot this campaign, whilst Leeds can go on and put even more points between themselves and the relegation zone, of course. Leeds always have the potential of beating anybody on their day, but it's hard to back against West Ham here, and that's why I'm predicting a 3-1 scoreline in favour of David Moyes' side. The penultimate game on this list is a massive London derby as Tottenham host Arsenal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Spurs were victorious in their last Premier League outing, winning 1-0 against Watford, whilst Arsenal had that valiant performance, that very good performance against Manchester City, but ultimately came out on the wrong end of a 2-1 scoreline against Pep Guardiola's side. Under any normal circumstances, this would be the main event of the weekend. This would be the main event of this round of fixtures. A massive London derby in prospect, but I feel that there is slightly a bigger game this weekend that will take centre stage and slightly overshadow this one, I think. This is a huge game in the race for top 4, a massive London derby, so there's more than just 3 points at stake. There's also a psychological edge to top 4. There are also bragging rights in a massive derby like this. So there's so much on the line in this game. And you see that Spurs in recent weeks have improved under new manager Antonio Conte. You also see that Arsenal in recent weeks have also improved under manager Mikel Arteta in terms of performances and results. Even when they lost to Manchester City, the performance was still encouraging enough. My prediction is, whilst I could see either side winning this game, I am actually going to go for a draw here. It is an intriguing contest ahead, but I'm actually going to go for a draw. I can see that both sides are going to have to settle for a point apiece here, and that is why I'm going to predict a 2-2 draw. And finally, in the main event of this round's weekend fixtures, arguably the biggest game of the upcoming games this weekend, it is Manchester City versus Chelsea at the Etihad Stadium in Saturday's midday lunchtime kickoff. Last time out in the Premier League, Manchester City beat Arsenal by 2-1, whilst Chelsea drew 2-2 with Liverpool. It's a massive game in prospect, this one. You don't need me to tell you that. City could extend their lead over Chelsea at the top of the table and pretty much seemingly end their league challenge, whilst alternatively, if Chelsea managed to beat City, they could keep their title challenge alive. It's a massive game in store on Saturday. City weren't convincing against Arsenal, but the difference between them, Chelsea and Liverpool this season is that when they've not played well, they've still managed to get the job done and get the 3 points, whilst the other two in Chelsea and Liverpool have struggled to do that enough consistently. What will happen this Saturday? It's really up in the air. Both sides have the quality and the ability to hurt the other and have the potential to nick all 3 points. I'm not actually going to say that this game will end in a draw. It definitely could end up with either side edging this one and taking the 3 points, but I'm actually going to go with a draw, and I'm going to say that this game will end 1-1 come the final whistle. But of course, as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, and most of all, of course, predictions of this weekend's upcoming round of Premier League fixtures by this guy. I want to know what you guys think. Also, fantasy football managers, I want to know what you think about that as well. Who do you see having a good week? Who do you see having a bad week? Who are you putting into your squad? Who are you taking out of your squad? And so on and so forth about that. Leave your comments down below in the comment section regarding fantasy football. But most of all, of course, this is about Premier League predictions. So do leave your predictions down below in the comment section as well as your thoughts and comments on all the games that are taking place this weekend. I'm sure they'll all make for interesting reading. Otherwise, hit that like button on the way up if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and will be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch, this has been another Premier League prediction show, and I will soon speak to you all again soon in another video.